Hello everyone, welcome to a second thoughts concerning Skarbrand, the Exiled of Khorne. I played through the initial turns and observed the victory conditions, starting location, diplomacy, mechanics, buildings, units, and I took my own conclusions about how the faction plays out, their strengths and weaknesses, if they have any. Later in the video I'll show you some army compositions. Now this is a brief overview, should not be considered a fully in-depth guide, although it will help you out for sure. Without further ado, let's go play with Skarbrand, the Exiled. For the short victory condition, we'll be required to win the Slaughter and Carnage quest battle, and then to occupy, loot, razor, sack 35 different settlements. The reward is quite unique, the Chainsword. It is quite interesting. We're giving this item, which is a brutal one, that will make Skarbrand go havoc even more, as if he needed it. So yes, quite an interesting campaign after that point. Now for the long victory condition, you need to achieve the short victory one, occupy, loot, razor, sack 80 different settlements, and then to destroy the following faction, the Seducers of Slaanesh. Even though they're far away, typically they are kinda at this moment in the current meta and patch, they're being destroyed very easily, so you may not even have to go there, meaning that the long victory reward of plus 10 to Lord Recruit rank may show up very soon, actually. This is also an interesting one given how the faction plays out. As any lords, you will have the heralds, they'll have the option to become exalted ones after some levels, so this helps out in that regard as well. Now, Skarbrand is the Wrathful Reaper, so armies can replenish in foreign territory, which is huge, and the diplomatic relations with other Khorne factions, it's kind of negligible given the starting location and lack of those. This is more meaningful in the Realm of Chaos campaign. Now, you also get plus 15% for movement range after raising a settlement to all characters. This so plays out with the faction. It's really good to ensure your armies keep going. As for climates, it's one of the best, although there's plenty of unpleasant climates. Only Magical Forest is truly uninhabitable, so you'll have something like this. Everything looks like green and yellow, which is kind of what you always wish for this. But still, the penalties always apply, of course. It is something like this. And there we go. As you can see, just replace that climate for Magical Forest, and that's it. So the typical debuffs that you have also apply for Skarbrand, nothing out of the ordinary, but it makes this one of the best factions for total map completion. For your starting location, it is average, honestly. You start in the South Bowl. Basically, plenty of enemies nearby. It's always an issue. Your starting province is a 3-settlement province. Not the best, because Death Gorge only can build 7 additional settlement buildings. And your first enemies will include Greenskins, Skaven, Vampire Counts, the Tomb Kings, basically everyone. Lizardmen, everyone can declare war on you. You're Khorne, and you should declare war on them. More on diplomacy later. Now, expansion is the best part. Anywhere you wish, in essence. Of course, making it quite a true sandbox experience, it is still recommended that you go to the south and control all of the southern continent, and then it's up to you if you wish to go to the Chaos Wastes and then into Lustria. If perhaps the Seducers of Slaanesh are still alive, maybe you wish to go directly into Ulthuan, whatever you wish. One of the best ones to have that true sandbox experience. Now, early expansion, however, may drive you a little bit thin. This is because of how far away these are. This province is enormous, and it will make you you should be wary of counterattacks. In addition, you see the marsh here, and there's a settlement here with beastmen, so be wary of their blood grounds hindering your settling. As for diplomacy, you are the enemy. Good luck. Blood for the Blood God, skulls for the Skull Throne. Forget about alliances. Well, not really. So Skaven and Greenskins do not really have any aversion towards you, so you can gain some military alliances, as I've done here. And basically that will allow you to have some outposts, at least. Norse Katui, if you can get in touch with them. Whoever is fighting your enemies may grow to like you, so there are some options. But for the most part, you're the target in all of humanity. Orcs, everyone is trying to get you. good luck. Now, as for outposts, as I was saying, both the Greenskins and the Skaven, any missile units that you can muster, should help you out as you lack those units. So anything that you may get your hands on that you would like to use, by all means, they're perfect for you. Skulls. They're used for a variety of reasons, including research, capturing settlements, performing the Skull Throne ability, etc. Most of the time you'll obtain these by fighting battles or raising settlements. The Skull Throne ability in itself allows construction time reduction, campaign movement range after raising settlements, income from post-battle loot. The army ability, Summoned from Beyond, which summons units of blood ladders, perfect one. Blood hosts will gain +2 units on creation. Talking about blood hosts, they are created upon raising a settlement. They cost upkeep and basically get a free army as long as it survives and keeps fighting. Of course, you cannot recruit any units into it, but you can add units or regiments of renown into them, although you only have 5, so yeah. Now, this also interacts with the bloodletting ability. Basically, the more battles you fight and the more you keep fighting, the better buffs you get. But be wary, there is a negative one here that doesn't really show, which gives growth -10 for all provinces. This may cause you to have faction-wide growth or ingrowth for no reason, so be wary of this. Just delete those that have very few armies or units left, and that is up to it. Now, another mechanic is how any raised settlement can become yours as long as basically you have a settlement in that province. So at any point in time, and I can increase that with buildings, you can see that, +1 chance to automatically colonize ruined settlements. So you can increase this by buildings. Basically at any point, Galbaraz or can become a Khorne settlement for no cost whatsoever. You should maximize this for a nice profit. Now, in terms of cults, I actually don't have anyone here, but let me see if I can work some magic. And there you go. Basically, what are cults? These will show up into different settlements across the world, and then you can choose a building there that will affect. Basically, it will always give you some vision, and you have some specific abilities that you can use. It's always nice. You can build these up with the cultist as well. Finally, unholy manifestations give you a variety of options in accordance with the overall map Khorne corruption. You know, you need +3000 if you wish to invoke Khorne's glare. So for the Eternal War, it summons a small hostile army. This is useful. It seems strange that it fights your armies, but this is useful to keep your armies with a good bloodletting. Now, the call of battle, it is to surprise enemies with further movement range, always useful. And a Slaughter Incarnate is basically for 100% skulls from kills for 4 turns. So if you're in a moment that you're going to fight a lot with that army, just buff that up and you can ravage those skulls. Somehow, they'll gain more skulls, basically. One skull counts for 2 sale, that's basically it. Now, you also have Khorne's Glare. A local settlement will be raised upon completion. This is useful to get rid of a massive settlement, and it will also give you 10,000 skulls, but read the negative. No movement for that army during completion time. Province edicts are basically a corruption and minus construction costs, recruit rank and local recruitment capacity, plus melee attack. Control, Chase of Plague, spreading reduced, campaign movement range reduced for enemy armies and melee attack for you, and also an income and melee attack buff for you. Notice the lack of growth, which is mainly via the bloodletting ability, so you should always have that one in mind. Now, in terms of army stances, we have a combat trials, which is rather unique. It gives skulls for each unit. Winds of Magic. You may wonder why Khorne would need that. Well, because of this. Winds of Magic affect demons in several ways. For instance, as casualty replenishment, leadership, and physical resistance. Debuffs in this case. I need to raise that. So that you should always not neglect it. Now, in-camp costs no movement, which is great. You get immune to attrition and replenishment. Raid costs 50% movement, but gives no skulls. Interesting. Just some income, of course. Ambush is the usual, and Forced March is also the usual. Ambush requiring 25%. In terms of buildings, so you need 6 buildings for maximum military, 3 of which can be built in minor settlements, which is excellent. Now, you also have a different province capital. You can go forth into more military-based, or you can go into more income-based one. So choose wisely in that regard. They're very expensive, though. One characteristic here of all buildings is that every building actually provides you with some income. As you can see there, every building does provide you with some income, so you don't have exactly a dedicated income building. All of them do so. Now, in terms of infrastructure, you do have the income from all buildings and less leadership from enemies. You have a income from post-battle loot around the regions of this, and the casualty replenishment rate, which is nice. You also have a control-focused building, and a really good one. This is enabling attrition for enemies in the region. This helps ensuring that, you know, it's kind of like a garrison, honestly, because they'll arrive and they'll be much weaker. It also provides Khorne corruption and a hero and lord recruit rank +3. When an enemy lord is present, you also generate gold, which is really cool. You know, when enemy lord is present, you always have to check those possibilities, so that's cool as well. Now, in terms of research is very useful. You have many techs that increase the blood hosts, you know, or that give bonuses specifically for the blood hosts as well, like the upkeep -5% for blood hosts here. So that helps a lot. Now, others giving you some nice abilities, either into your armies, you know, army ability number uses, +1 for some from beyond, you see, and they are all costing skulls, as you can see, so it's expensive, but they are all worthwhile. Now, in terms of, as you can see, it never stops. It's 8 of these, and it will take quite a lot of time before getting those, but still, it's quite useful. One of the most interesting tech trees from the demon factions, basically. Now, in essence, always invest on those skulls, especially for the tech, and keep an eye out for those massive ones that you may need, such as the army abilities, for instance. As always, we have our legendary and lord skills. In this case, the yellow line, which is only for combat ever, never for magic in Khorne. You have the red line or army one, and the blue line or the campaign one. Starting with the blue line, it has replenishment right from the start, but this is only for heralds and Skarbrand. It doesn't work like that on the Chaos Lords, as you can see here. There's no replenishment there. This is because they changed it. Basically, both the blue line and the red line are kind of different. You can find the casualty replenishment rate there, mixed with the attrition here in the case of the Chaos Lords. Now, red line is pretty cool in both of them because they're also different. More on that later. It's mostly divided into demonic units and mortal units, which is great. You can build up among both. It kind of reminds me of the orc, the greenskins ones, where it is subdivides between the orcs and the goblins, so it's kind of like that it works. So you can make different combinations here, of course, with the difference that both are really viable. Now, Skarbrand is already a beast, but his skills make him the deadliest there is. Last skill actually gives campaign movement range after winning a battle, and +3 units for any blood host created. So getting to this really quickly, it also ensures that you can have, you know, much better blood hosts and conquer the whole map with those. Now, you have some cultist heroes, which, let me show you here. In essence, they are the heroes that will provide the replenishment, and they also have some army abilities such as summonings, which is really good as well. You have the exalted hero, the Blood Reaper here, which in essence, it's a good frontline hero to have, and quite good at that. You know, something good to assassinate enemy heroes or enemy lords even. So that's cool. Now, no magic implies that you kind of have to allocate more skills to elsewhere in general, which is good. So you don't have to focus on anything that has magic, but of course without the advantages of having magic in battle. It should be noted then that the Chaos Lord has different sets of skills. I'll mention that in just a few moments. Now here we have both red lines for Khorne. Let's start with the line for the Herald, and for Skarbrand as well. He benefits from this. You can see the typical division between monsters and demons, okay, and mortal units. You know, you have the monsters here, demon units here, and then the mortal units over there. Now, basically, this one is more focused in the melee attack here, as you can see, a little bit more into some physical resistance there, some more melee attack. So you can see these differences, they are important, because the next one, it's different, the Chaos Lord's ones. You can see that it's much more focused in getting more armor there for both non-demonic infantry and demonic infantry, and then again more armor, more melee defense, some spell resistance as well. So they all have their slight differences. Pay some attention to these, and then you can make your own conclusions on which armies you wish to field, of course. Now, Skarbrand can fight nearly single-handed, but a nice combination of mortals and some cavalry, some minotaurs is always nice. You can also have some demonic. You can go into the demonic line and just have some crazy exalted blood letters going in with some minotaur support and just some... I use the same, of course you can use different ones, but notice how uncostly it is. It costs nearly nothing in terms of skill points, which is great. So not only you don't have to spend too many skill points in casting, you know, in any magic, you also don't have to spend too much into the red line, which implies that most of all your characters, you're actually benefit from the skills that you actually want without having to choose too much. Now, in terms of other characters, of course, we can have the heralds perhaps with a mortal-based build or a demonic-based build. I'll just add some different units here and there to have some more variety, as you can see there. Typically, of course, with some Chaos War Shrines here, just to benefit the front line as well. Those are good. And finally, with the Chaos Lords, they do have some advantages. I didn't put him here, sorry. But they do have some advantages with the with specific skills that give to Chaos Knights, to Chaos Warriors, and to Chosen. So that's why basically the army is involving those units. Of course, here I just added a slight difference, giving them some Minotaurs of Great Weapons, and then some Gore Beast Chariots. You can see the difference into the skill points, because of course I didn't have to invest there. But even then, this 15 is already with quite a nice composition, so that's really cool. For conclusion, Skarbrand is probably the best duelist around. He can take over anyone on the battlefield, especially after leveling up. Now, the faction does suffer a bit from having no magic, so if you're a magic enthusiast, you may want to stick to a shorter victory, perhaps. Now, Gruth can be a pain, because it has to the interference of bloodletting. So, if you manage to get bloodletting really well, then Gruth will be fine. So you need to pay attention to that. Don't have any armies just standing around, because that won't do you any good. It may seem a one-dimensional army, but I found them a fun dimension to be at. You know, it's just loot, destroy, maim, wreck, raise, everything. In battles, they destroy everything so fast that it's one of the fastest armies to win a battle, basically. Finally, it's very easy to be on a negative income, like you see here. It's not a faction to play unless you know how to handle such a negative economy, basically. As for army, you have great and powerful infantry, weak missile choices, some great monsters and single entities, some good cavalry and chariots. It does lack a lot in missile options, I'll just add it once more. Lacks any magic as well. So, in essence, in terms of replenishment, it's great. It's one of the best factions in terms of that. Not only it has a hero that provides replenishment, but lords have it really close by, and in addition, all the mechanics that allow you to have some more replenishment as well with the bloodletting. Everything really helps, buildings, etc. So it's one of those factions that help continuously fighting and going through. So I believe it's time now to follow Skarbrand the Exiled into battle.